Welcome to Unemployed and Afraid, a podcast that explores the glorious mess of building your own business with the people doing it. I'm your host and fellow business builder, Kim Curtin. Thank you for being here. Let's get into some good, honest, small business chat. I wanted to talk to you about the changes we make in our lives and in our businesses and the unnecessary things that we do to ourselves in the process. Because if there's a chance that you're thinking about making a change, a small change or a big change, and feeling stuck about it, or maybe you're not even actively thinking about it, about making the change, but noticing that something in you doesn't feel right, I want you to know that you can move, you can shift, you can pivot, you can change anything you want, no matter where you're at, and what anyone else thinks about it does not matter. Business does not look one way, or even the half a dozen typical ways we see touted so much in content, sales pitches, and from self appointed guides and gurus about how to do business, the quote unquote right way, which ironically is usually their way or a way that they learned from someone else, which was their way, which is sounding a little MLM to me. On this feed, you will find business stories from over 150 people. Not one of them, not one of those people, not one of those business structures look the same in their structure, in their approach, or in the process they took to get there. You might see having an idea and building it into a business that you can sell, or building a service model agency, being a freelancer, consultant, a product business, being in partnership or in solo, taking something you're passionate about and just doing it as often as you can, and doing so in many of the above mentioned structures. There's so many ways in which to do it. And then there's the people that do all of the above in their very own new specific way, changing it as they go. Businesses that started one way and shifted to another over and over and over again. That maybe you even went from part time side hustles to full time hustles, back to part time hustles, or even micro hustles. There is no one right way to do business. And if anyone tells you that their way is the right way, or a specific way, which happens to be their way, is the right way, I want you to do your best to ignore them. The only thing that's consistent about business and the approach a person takes to it is that it can and should change as often as you need it to. As often as you learn new things about yourself, develop new skills, maybe you notice something that's happening in the market, or you have your mind open to a different path. I know I've sat in a place recently for way too long where I realized I needed to make a change, but I felt hamstrung by circumstance, but also what to change and what's right or wrong about it in many different ways, in many different parts of my life. I've had to look at my self imposed beliefs. The fact that because I've been doing something one specific way, or maybe have even spoken publicly about this one way, that I can't change it. Maybe you've had that experience too. And what a cage that is. But to ensure I'm not being too cagey about what I'm actually talking about here, one of the things I have been putting limits on myself about is the execution of this podcast. I thought that because it's always been always on, so showing up every week until I need a break, just like we do in business, I thought that I couldn't change that. And this is despite knowing for a while that I need to make some change to allow myself to actually grow the show, which of course happens through actually marketing it as this kind of business gold on the feed. Just it doesn't deserve to be gatekept. And I wish just every business owner gets to hear the insights that's held within this show. But I doubted making a change to my release structure or the way in which I show up here for you, because I often tell podcasters that a consistent release schedule that matches your audience needs and concept strategy is key. It's foundational. So imagine my personal horror when I started considering that I might need to shift up my own release schedule that I have built in line with my audience need as a concept strategy, going against the very advice that I give to other people. But knowing that a change could be really healthy and really positive. For example, running seasons instead of always on as an option. I thought there's no way that I could do that for all of those reasons that I mentioned. But when I look at it with the context and consideration to the broader dreams I have for this show as my business and everything else that I want to work towards in my life, in my career, and in my broader business interests, change just makes a lot of sense. Don't worry, the show isn't going anywhere though. Sometimes a slight shift can lead to very, very big growth. And I am still working out exactly what that looks like in execution. Is there a change that I wonder if you've been debating over in your life now that you're maybe telling yourself isn't possible or is wrong, or why am I having that thought? Oh, that's too hard. That's too stressful. I don't know. Despite knowing somewhere in you that there's a good reason that you're considering it. Maybe you've been worried that if you make a new change, people will think that you're flaky. I really hate that one. God, I think about that all the time because, like, I mean, we just need to channel Mel Robbins here, I think, for a second and like let people think that. Like, let them do it. It's not our business, nor is it in our best interest to run any aspect of our lives based on the stories we tell ourselves about what other people might think. Just because it feels different and a bit awkward, always awkward to make a change that's visible to other people, that people see if they're looking at your broader story, doesn't mean it's not right, important, or powerful to do. When we live in a way that is right for us, that is in line with what we need, we empower other people to do the same, to live their life and run their businesses in a way that's right for them. You are absolutely allowed to change your mind. And my personal opinion, if you're not ever changing, what exactly is the point of all of this? Now, this is just me, but creating a brand or a business that looks one way and does one thing over and over again sounds frankly quite awful. Having the same routine day in, day out, year after year. Again, it doesn't sound great to me. And a structure and a lifestyle that does that might be right for us for right now, but in a few years' time, we might be entirely different people based on what we've learned about ourselves and learnt in general. And so holding on to that same thing year in, year out without making a change that somewhere we know we need to make, it just doesn't sound like a good direction for us to be going in. I want to share with you a few things I've learned about myself over the last 5 years of what has been focused, trying and testing and talking to people about the act of building a business. Learnings that at times have surprised me, but always consistently leading me to look at new ways to do things and change to my structure. I've learnt that solopreneurship, it's not for me. I don't enjoy working alone all the time. I don't. And I don't enjoy only ever working for clients. Bear with me on that one. I love working with clients. If you're a client, I love working with you, but I don't enjoy working alone on problem solving all the time or being in that kind of constant dynamic with clients where I'm sort of sharing and answering briefs and helping with questions, educating. It's a big part of what I love to do, but it can't be the only part. I really like a mix of teamwork and solo work where I'm working on a shared goal with another alongside doing, the incredible work. But working solo as a solopreneur, a one person business, it's not for me. Working full time from home is not for me. I mean, what a privilege to even be able to say that I've had that experience. But being at home all the time makes me feel small and makes me feel like I'm kind of clawing the walls a little bit, which really sneaks up on you. And it changes the way that I think. I need a balance of being around others and quiet reset to like around that 80-20 mark, with 20% of the time being the ability to work alone or work in a home space where no one is and I'm really comfortable to just like head down. But doing it all the time, it's not for me. I know that financial instability cripples me, cripples, as I'm sure it does for everyone. But that sense of instability, of not knowing, and when it's really, really rough, I feel completely disempowered to take the action I need to, as the stress completely changes how I think, how my body functions, and it absolutely brings out the worst in me. And I've also learnt, very ironically, through this, that I don't like living in regional places. They're incredible places, beautiful places. And I'm so lucky to have moved and had the experience of living in Tassie and in the Sunshine Coast and living in lots of different places. But the beauty of regional doesn't overtake the fact that it's not the place that I feel the most myself, that I feel the most energized and inspired. And that is so unique to each of us. What inspires us and allows us to feel the most like ourselves is incredibly unique. Okay, that last one just then, it got a little personal. Might cut it out, might leave it in, you'll find out. But we know business and what we do for work and our intellectual growth is inherently personal for most of us, but always when it comes to what we do as our own business. As I said, learning these things about myself, it's a privilege. And it's only with that extended period of time in retrospect and of trying and of changing that I can learn that. I've taken the steps to work in different ways, to try things. Some of it has been forced by circumstance, some of it has been actions and steps I've taken to change. I've made change when I needed to within the confines of what's possible for me to create businesses that are born from my own ideas and my own hands. That's epic. I've loved that I've been able to do that. And that is a huge privilege. And entrepreneurship is just, I love being able to create business. And because each coin has two sides, I only know all of this because I've been willing to be really uncomfortable a lot of the time, like physically, mentally, and most certainly financially. I have worked very hard at learning these lessons because I tried and I made change even when I didn't really want to. We can't be unwilling to make change, though, because of the stories that we tell ourselves, because of our fear of getting it wrong or our lack of trust in ourselves. I've definitely experienced that, but you can and you should make whatever change you want to or feel like you need to. If we create a handcuff for ourselves in our businesses, then what exactly has been the point? And when we spend all our time on the internet observing other people who are 25 steps down the line in whatever change they've made along the way, it makes it so much harder to see the wood from the trees and find the trust we have in ourselves to make change. So, this is your permission slip, if you will, to stop strategizing the change so much. Stop turning over the what ifs in your mind and overthinking every aspect of it to the nth degree, from collateral or content you might even have to make to land the change. Just certainly stop thinking about what that random person you used to know might think. They don't care. And if they do, then their world is too small and that's their problem. Who knows? Maybe that change that you make will be the best thing you ever did. I'm reminding myself of that constantly. Perhaps any change that I'm considering at the moment to the show, to my life, to where I live, to what comes next, to what will come in years from now, might be the best thing I ever did. Even if that doesn't show itself right away, even if you make a change and it doesn't show it for you for until months down the line or years down the line, who knows? Maybe it will lead you to the best thing that you ever did. So try the new service, create the new product, test out the new working structure, the new income stream. Go for a role if you need to work part time while you are building your business. Step out of a full time business for a while and let somebody else come in to help support you with it. And create something entirely new. Completely shift how you work. Make your business a side hustle and do something. There's so many ways. Just try and just make the change that you need to do because our instincts are rarely wrong. And if they are, we can always change again. There's something that I need you to do for me. If you enjoyed this that I just shared with you, all of that stuff that I was just sharing with you, or any other episode of Unemployed and Afraid that you've ever listened to, I want to ask you to text it to a friend who might also enjoy it. Tell them about this show because I need your help to reach more people. This body of work is for you as much as it has been for me all the way along to help more of us like back ourselves into whatever we want to create. And I need your help to reach more people because little known fun fact, really not fun, about podcasting, which you don't often realize until you're in it. They're incredibly hard to grow. The millions upon millions upon millions of podcast listeners in the world, they don't just find a show because it exists. And the listening apps, the thing that you're listening on right now, they don't serve it up in the same way that we see on the socials to potential listeners. Growth happens primarily through recommendation, through people talking about it, through people telling their friends or their close circle about it. It happens in small spaces. So it would mean so much to me if you would tell someone else about this show. And if you really love it, and if you're really feeling generous, maybe you'll do a post about it or put it in your newsletter, but I will not stretch the ask. I would just love you to share it with somebody who you think might also love it. So tell your friends, and I look forward to supporting you on your business journey, sharing all of the messy chaos and all of the different ways it can look so that you can find yourself in pieces of everybody's stories that you hear to expand your sense of what's possible and what's right for you. And I will continue to keep doing that for you, no matter what it looks like and how it changes along the way for many years to come. Thank you for listening to Unemployed and Afraid, the podcast for small business builders with your host, me, Kim Curtin. If you love it, you can say thanks with a star rating and a review. And of course, join the community on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Find us at Unemployed and Afraid wherever you're hanging out, and I'll see you there.